Good morning, my Appa are back. Here's the plan. Pouring concrete for the ground floor slab. After that, I don't care. Just want to see that happen. I'm excited. What could possibly go wrong? Right, it's actually almost 4 o'clock, but I'm going to throw this in at the beginning of the video as a warning. It's a long video. It's the concrete pour day. You should have seen that from the title. If you're not a big fan of people pouring concrete, well, okay, strange choice of video to click on, but particularly if you're not a fan of a fair bit of drone stuff, a bit of slow-mo, but really just lots of elements of pouring a concrete floor, this may not be the video for you. So this is making it even longer. I'll cut this short now, but it's just a fair warning. It's a long one. Sorry for that. Well, this is it. The day of the big pour. This big baby rolled in here at about 6:40 this morning. A little bit later than they anticipated, but I'm sure not a problem. Yet to see any sign of the ready-mix trucks, but we were warned that they might be a little bit delayed. First one was hoped for at 7 o'clock. It's not here yet, which, I don't know, may be a good thing, because it still looks like there's little tiny bits of adjustments going on over here. The pour will start, I am told, in this corner, and will spread out. And if they have enough concrete, I'll move over to the pump room, do the roof, and the remaining parts of beams and columns over there. There is work going on elsewhere. We're going to have a quick look. And here's a familiar sight. Manny's back in the diggerator, moving stuff around. Had his jab. Feeling good today. So we've got wall stuff going on. So they're going to try and extend along here. Again, I think the basketball court is not going to be touched today. We'll see how that goes along, but I would imagine they'll make some pretty decent progress along this section of wall during the day. And we're going to have a little bit more development here. I guess they're going to try and get this section up to the basketball court developed today as well. So I just spoke to the builder. It's very nearly 7:30, and the first concrete ready-mix truck is on the way. Philippine translation of on the way is anything from just woken up, having my breakfast, and it's going to be an hour and a half to drive there, to it could be there 5 minutes away. There is no way to know. But we'll see how it gets on today. The number of trucks that are going to be coming in depends on the size of the trucks they use, obviously, but the estimate is it will be a minimum of 4 trucks if they go to the maximum size for all of them, but it could be as many as 7 or 8, because they very often use slightly smaller trucks. So we'll just have to see, and the amount of time this would take if everything went completely smoothly and all the trucks came bang, 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 it could be 3 hours. Quite honestly, I think we would expect that isn't going to happen. There will be at some point delays with trucks arriving, or something else will happen, so it'll probably be a fairly reasonable chunk of today before this is all complete, but we'll see. And we will try and capture a time lapse of at least part of this. Now, for that to happen, I have to thank Shane, who is son George's partner and mother of his son and our grandson, Adio. So Shane, thank you. Hopefully I can make your GoPro work, and we'll get some results of a little bit of time lapse today. Fingers crossed. But thanks again. So it's 8:15 and the first truck has arrived. Morning, Maya Babak. So we're getting close to being ready to rock and roll and pour. I believe that the delivery mechanism is going to start in this corner. Right now, it's pointing right at the middle of the room, but we'll see how we go. I'm ready. Hopefully they're nearly ready. So here's the first little offload, and this material is basically what they'll use to test. We won't get the test results immediately, but they'll use this to test for the strength, PSI. And they'll use these little, I have no idea what you call those, but whatever those are, that's what they'll use. I have seen tests, I think someone called a slump test. But they'll load these up, let them set a little bit, I think. But we'll just watch. We'll come back and see what happens. Second truck, just arriving. So for anybody that's not seen this, myself included, concrete gets delivered into that hopper, and the pump on this beast delivers it through this monster to wherever they choose. Okay, slight change. Starting in this corner on the northeast. So we'll follow that when the first concrete is poured. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys, I think, whose job it will be to smooth it all out, move it around a little bit. Under, of course, the watchful gaze of Manny, lead foreman. Vaccinated, at least first vaccination. Lead foreman Manny. It begins at 8:24. Pleased to see that today everyone's got their wellies on. No flip-flops here. And if you've watched before, you'll know this is a 10 centimetre depth. It is supposed to be a 10 centimetre depth. I'm sure it is. So this, again, if you've watched anything before, this is the kitchen. We'll give this a few more seconds and then we'll come back in a little while. So it's Erwin in control of the hose. And we've got a whole load of other guys here whose faces are mostly covered up and I can't tell you who they are. I know we've got JR, I think we've got Richard, new Richard, I know we've got Ronwell, I think Oliver's under there somewhere. After that, no idea. And that hooter, I assume, means that truck is done. Or is he just taking a break? We'll come back. So that is it. That's truck number 1 offloaded. And that has probably covered, I'm going to guess, around 80% of the kitchen. Truck number 2, back it into place. So truck number 2 is offloading, and this is truck number 3, just come in. Not sure it'll go this smoothly for the rest of the morning. If it does, that'll be great news. They will get this done pretty fast. Oh, I hear hooting. That may mean truck number 4. What we got? ready-mix trucks as far as the eye can see. That may be the one that's just offloaded. I wasn't paying attention. Hopefully you were. 2 more here. 2 over there. Hopefully they keep coming in at this pace. Well, give or take. That's the kitchen done. 20 minutes. So they're moving on into basically what will be a corridor, a hallway over there. And on this side, it carries on into the pantry and the laundry room and the helper's room. And in the far corner is the dirty kitchen. I'm beginning to see why the builder said they might do this in as little as 3 hours. It sure as hell beats a bucket brigade taking it from small concrete mixers. Well, what are they called? 1-bag mixers, I've seen them called here. But goodness knows how long it would take to try and do that. Given that the floor area down here is ballpark 400 square meters, that would be forever. This is clearly a massively more efficient way of doing things. We are at 43 minutes since the first concrete came down. This is not going to take 3 hours if they can keep this pace going. If the trucks are all here and all keep coming, this is not going to be 3 hours. They've now done definitely more than half the house. It's probably close to 60%. And there's yet another truck about to start pouring. At this rate, it'll be less than 2 hours, and it might even be close to an hour and a half. Is this the fastest concrete floor pour in history? I'm going to be writing to Guinness. So these trucks are apparently 5 cubic meter capacity. And I think the estimate was we needed 40 cubic meters to cover the floor. So, mental maths. 8 trucks would be required. If it's slightly more than 40 square metres, obviously we'll need a 9th. And I've completely lost count of how many have gone so far. Never mind, it's quite a few. 9:15, 1 hour exactly since they first started the pour. And they are at least 70% done. All of the front of the house, all of the north side of the house. Here we are on this corner is the living room. That's done. Behind that we've got basically where the stairs will be going into the area that's not yet done is the theatre room, and at the back in that corner the gym and the spa. And as we said yesterday, part of that spa won't get poured today. So in terms of completing what they're going to complete, yeah, at least 70% in that first hour. To me, that's pretty remarkable. Maybe it's normal, but it's way ahead of what my expectation was. So it seems like the world record for the fastest ever concrete floor pour has been snatched from our grasp. There's one more truck supposed to be coming, and it's an hour away. God, there's going to be complaints about that. We could have been famous. We could have been contenders. Never mind. It's still been a remarkably fast progress up to this point, at least in my mind. And here you've got one of the wet rooms. This is the bathroom for the helper's room. And a little bit beyond that, if you can make it out, there is another bathroom there. And you can see where they put these metal forms in place, and they are lower. So 10 centimeters lower, roughly, which is standard practice here. I'm not sure if it's required by code, but it is standard practice here. So if you ever get any kind of leakage, any kind of flooding in a wet room, it basically helps to protect the rest of the house. I guess in some ways the pour itself is the easy bit. This is where a bit more of the skill comes in, to fill in all the nooks and crannies where the pour couldn't directly get to or can't really be controlled quite as well. So Ronwell's just making sure that all around this column the base is correctly covered. And there's little bits of activity, whether it's smoothing out the surface, filling in where there's wet rooms, really going on all over the place. Last little bit. Well, it's early afternoon, early-ish, just gone 2 o'clock. And after all the excitement of the morning, well, at least I was excited, we're kind of heading back to what might be described as a more normal work. Before that, concrete's getting wetted down, help it cure. This has to happen for at least a couple of days. In fact, it might be quite nice if we had some rain tonight. I don't usually like to say that, but wouldn't do any harm at all for the concrete floor. But we'll go and see what's going on over in the pump room, because that's where most people now seem to be. So they didn't have quite enough concrete to finish off the pump room roof and all of the relevant column parts that weren't done before, plus these columns on this wall. So we're back to a bucket brigade. About, what's that, 8 or 9 guys. As always, Manny watching on. Actually, this is unusual. Manny's here. The figurator's over there. He has ceded control. I'm sure it's only temporary. So they're going to get this done. I have to keep these bits short now because I am very conscious of the fact that the video is already monstrously long. So my apologies for that. So back on the south wall, Rico's continuing to extend this wall right up to the basketball court, and we're now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of hollow blocks up. 2 to go to match what's already in place, and then several more to go before it's finished. And here we keep heading west. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 levels of concrete hollow block, but that's a bit unfair because I'm counting the 2 that are effectively underground. But good progress over here. Won't be too long before we're over at that corner, unless any unforeseen things come along. That's it. It's the end of the day. It's the end of a very long video. Once again, apologies. We're going to be up around 25 minutes. But for me, it was a huge day. Getting a floor of the house it feels like a big step in this process. As always, it's probably a lot more exciting for me than it is for people watching. So yeah, sorry if I get occasionally a little bit over the top about things like concrete. But our house is developing. It's taken us 41 work days to get to this point, and I couldn't be happier. What could go wrong? Well, actually not a great deal so far, at least not with the build itself, only with this dummy behind the camera making mistakes. But that's it. We'll say goodbye to the guys and call it a day. The big concrete pour is done. So, at Manny's request, Red Horse time. Which is a bit ironic because Manny can't drink Red Horse at the moment. He's just had his vaccination. And he said he can't drink. Ah, you're welcome. Malang na naman. So, these guys are all tucking in. They're all tucking in, and Manny's off in a bad mood somewhere. I did buy him some, what was it, San Miguel Light, because it's basically the same as water. Oh, that'll get me sued. But I don't think he's drinking it. So, end of the day, guys relaxing, well earned, getting some selfies in there. We'll see you tomorrow.